Is it recording?
You have 40 minutes to get through a 45-minute show.
What?
I don't know.
Why did you assume it's 45 minutes?
Because we all are talkers.
Are we? That's just you, pal.
What's the intro?
We didn't really have one.
It was, hey,
yeah.
I'm Audrey. No, you were
I
like,
said
this is
that.
Audrey, this is Amanda, and this is Brett.
Yeah, that was really corny. I was thinking about that in my head afterwards. I was like, is that how we did it? And I was like, yeah, it was really bad. We shouldn't do that again. I do like a cold open, though, if we just started talking.
What's up?
That'll do it.
Okay.
So what is our show today?
Today we're talking about 2020, what we enjoyed about it, our biggest projects, and then also looking forward to 2021 because we love a New Year's resolution.
Well, as both of you know, I'm very goal-oriented. I am like, I set a goal, and that's my whole thing. Is I just think it's really good to have goals all the time. It's just no matter what, you should have something you're constantly shooting for. So I love this. I like this show. I like having a 2021 goal. What's our objective? I have a little like sheet on like the wall of like things I'm trying to do, and I'm goal-oriented.
Oh. I never really do revolutions or anything or.
Well, it's resolution.
Let's
start a revolution! We're taking down Medfield TV.
Maybe that will be my goal for this year. Revolution, start one. You know.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
But resolutions, I never really set any. I don't know. I just kind of want to not focus on that and just kind of. I always want to do good, so anytime I do have to do something, I'm like, it just has to be good. And I just don't set up any goals. I'm just like, whatever comes my way, I just have to be good at it.
Taking it day by day,
Yeah.
day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute.
I'm similar. I never set up a resolution or anything. Vision board. We did a Medfield TV
I
vision
crushed
board.
Pinterest. But so Medfield TV, like I gave you both goals. So how do you feel about receiving goals from me?
I think it's good.
It's like what's expected.
Sometimes they don't align with the goals I want to achieve, but that's fine. That's why you have a job.
All right, so 2020. Let's talk about it. Let's hit it up. Let's forget it. Obviously, 2020, I want to preface this because everyone who talks about 2020, every single person prefaces it with, I know everyone had a hard time, and I know things went wrong, and I know this is a horrible year for everyone, but, and then they talk about all the good things that happened in 2020
I think that's
as well.
exactly what you do for Medfield TV, though.
I do it every day, all the time.
Yeah, I was just say, aren't we doing that right now?
In my head, I'm constantly in fear that I'm going to say that something positive happened in 2020, and there's someone who's going to just be like, well, I had an awful 2020. Like, you're the worst for saying you had a good year. And I think that there's like a big fear of that. But you know what? Gosh darn it. I think we had a good 2020. Like, I think I actually had a good year. And I'm super proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that in what could easily have been a year that we all just punched in and just said, you know what, we're good, like awful things are happening. I am so proud of the fact that like I had a great 2020. Like it was actually a really good year for me.
For you.
For me, yeah.
Not for Medfield TV.
I mean, for Medfield TV as well.
For me as Medfield TV.
Yeah, for Medfield TV, for me personally, like I think it was a great year.
Yeah, Brett got to skip his wedding.
Oh my God! That's not how we put that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know me.
Oh, we reached the stage you're already crying.
We should have a ticker, like a timer of like
How long does it take
fast,
Audrey to
yeah,
cry?
how fast till
That was
Audrey
a good
cries.
one, though. I thought that was a good joke.
Yeah, so bad things happen to me too. How was your 2020?
I think just being able to work and have projects to do, that made 2020 good. Obviously, yeah, thank you. I really do appreciate the work.
You're welcome for us hiring you.
welcome.
So that it's like that part of 2020 obviously was good for me. Like I didn't have any issues with going to work. You know, it's a small office too. Even when we were quarantined, I had stuff to do. But everything else collectively, I'm just gonna toss that part aside because I won't say 2020 personally was like fantastic outside of work.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think work life was good. I liked how things simultaneously slowed down but also sped up at work. Because like we had less people coming in, but then we had more things to do almost.
One of the cool things I thought about 2020 was it separated us all so much that it forced me, and I think it forced the community to communicate and talk more than ever before. Because we physically couldn't just be like, hey, can you grab that for me? We had to actually, the Zoom, everyone makes fun of Zoom calls now, but the Zoom calls actually brought us closer together than ever before. We used the Dropbox stuff that we asked like the community send us videos, and we got, there was a few events that we did. The Porch Fest was great. And then the other one was the Rolling Rally, where people sent us videos. We've never had that before. And if it wasn't for 2020, we never would have had a project like that. We never would have used that technology in that way. And I think that's the sort of stuff that I look back at 2020, I'm like, man, I'm kind of glad that we were forced into that, because it took the box that everyone's so used to operating in, and it just totally got rid of it. And it shattered it, and it was like, okay, now there is no rules, there's nothing, just get jobs done. Like, just do it. And I think it was really cool to sit in the community and realize that everyone kind of looked to Medfield TV and was like, hey, we had this idea of doing something, how would you do it virtually? And that's, I think, kind of what you're saying is it forced us to not do the normal things that we do every day, but instead do projects that were very meaningful, were really like high intensity, and really made us think way outside the box, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Glad both of you jumped on that.
Summed it up in a nice little gift-wrapped box for you. But yeah, I think that opens the door for like us to do those things in the future now. We don't have to solely rely on like Medfield TV staff going somewhere and filming something. We can have people send in submissions and do it that way instead. And I think sometimes that's easier.
Yeah. It is. It made a really, I don't want to give the idea that like we don't want to go out and film things.
Sorry,
everybody. But it gives us the opportunity to do more. One of the other things is like we can grab YouTube videos now and we can start streaming YouTube videos. So actually sports right now is being covered by a huddle cam. The coolest thing ever is the huddle cam right now that has no camera person behind it at the high school. And it's literally following basketball action, and we're picking up that stream and sending that to Medfield TV, which opens us up a lot more to be able to use our limited staff. We don't have a lot of people. So to be able to open up in that way, to have camera people or to have video footage that's shot for us, gives the opportunity for our editors to do a lot more with the editing than forcing them to have to be at an event to film it. So I think like the both of you are great editors. So to have the opportunity to have someone else film it and to have you two work on it as editors, it has been pretty awesome to see. And you can see that in the two videos that we did from the community. Those two videos are fantastic, and they took a lot of effort, but it was not wasted effort of you behind a camera. Instead, it was you behind a computer editing.
I was on site filming though also at those events. So I did make an effort to go and film.
That's true.
Gotta put that out there.
You were in the back seat of my car, right?
Yeah.
The things we do, it was crazy. 2020 was wild. Every event, everything that we did was just like, I felt like the whole year flew by for me. Everything we did was just by the seat of our pants. Just constantly, just everything was like, hey, just do this completely different now.
Yeah, and everything was just so big scale and like just so much parts to it. So it wasn't like just finding all, like there was little projects in between, but to have like something big to work on, put a lot of energy into that, and then just see it like go off and is a big success is very like satisfying. So that also is why I like 2020, because like it could have just been slow work and just trying to be like, oh, what can we do? It's a pandemic, you know, but instead we found things to get around. It expanded new horizons for us and we worked around it. So it was very cool.
What was your favorite project that we worked on?
My favorite project, I liked the Kirk Jackson storytelling project. So basically when quarantine was happening, Kirk Jackson came in, did a story time of his trip to Fenway Park, and I added illustrations and some animation to it, which I've never done before. So it was a new type of project for me, and like it really opened up like a new chapter of like what I could do in my editing experience. So it was very fun for me personally to watch myself grow more as an editor, and it was just like a great opportunity to also just have to keep myself like busy while I'm in quarantine.
It was so awesome. One of the things that's really cool about being in my position is when you hire someone that you see something in them, like you see a talent that they have, or you know, you get a text on a resume that says like this person is really efficient at this, and you see a couple of examples of that, and then when you actually get to put that person in the position that they're meant to be in and watch them grow and do the things that they do, like that's one of the coolest parts of my job. So having seen you go from someone that was like efficient in Adobe Effects and then go into, you know, one of the things we talked about was just me being able to say, hey, I need this graphic done. And then I get back these crazy awesome graphics from you. And then to see the Kirk Jackson, that video go out was incredible for me. I mean, people should definitely go back and look at it. I'm sure we're gonna have some like overview of the Kirk Jackson thing so people can at least see some of the screenshots. But I'm excited about 2021 because we're putting you in an even bigger role. You're now going to do a complete animated story.
Yeah.
And I hope you don't mind me just throwing that out so now that everyone
knows
you're
doing it. No, I don't mind at all, because I was actually going to bring that up if we were talking about what we're looking forward to, because that would be the project I am, because it's something I've never really did Adobe After Effects, which is I'm just starting to like get into it more. So in just like understanding a new program from start is just very exciting. And I think this is a good opportunity to just like evolve my work and figure out new ways I can do things and hopefully improve on old skills while gaining new ones. So I'm super excited for that project.
It's awesome. I can't wait for it. How about you? What was your favorite thing about 2020?
I think just like any project that had a deeper meaning. I think starting the Mental Health Monday project was really great for me. I enjoyed editing those. And then also just working with Medfield Together in general. It wasn't part of Medfield Together, but making the mascot videos was really meaningful for me. And I enjoyed being a part of helping people make the argument for the school committee to make the decision to not use the Medfield Warrior logo anymore.
That was such an interesting time too, because the argument that was being made, it seemed like the discussion had already been made that decision was going to go through, and people kind of knew that the mascot was going to go away. But the video was really more of just presenting why it should go away. Mm-hmm. And it was the difference between arguing with somebody and informing somebody, or just presenting a new perspective. And I thought you did a great job of like, rather than presenting an argument that people could fight with, it was really watching a video that you could get along with it and you could understand it a little more. I thought that was a great job with that video.
Thank you. And the people who submitted that, it was people, the Medfield mascot group submitted those videos, all of them to me. It was a mixture of residents who spoke on the subject and then also Indigenous voices that spoke on the subject. So I thought it was good that they decided to include those voices as well, rather than just having a bunch of white people saying things.
Which is great. Exactly. We talked about that too. And we talked about that with Medfield Together. Those individuals are also highly aware of the fact that like, hey, we are in a position where like we know that there's a problem, but a bunch of white people can't be the ones to bring that message to another group of a bunch of white people to be like, hey, we should do something different. Like, you need a collective amount of voices. You need to hear from different people. And it was a matter of us reaching outside of Medfield, getting different perspectives, different viewpoints. I think Medfield together is going to be like an awesome partnership of what we can do to get new voices in to Medfield.
I think that's one of my things I'm looking forward to for 2021, working with Medfield together more consistently and really seeing what they bring to the table and what we can bring to the table for them.
Yeah, they've already started doing some really cool projects too, so I was excited about that. It's funny talking about the mascot video and how that actually was made me think like of the other videos that we did that also used that Dropbox feature was like the school. And the school did the Evening of Excellence and things like that. As we're talking about this, I'm literally thinking about the projects that we did this year, and I'm like, oh my God, like that was a year ago. And it feels like that was 7 years ago. You could have told me that I did that 10 years ago. I'd have been like, yeah, that's fine. But that Evening of Excellence video, like we're already talking about making the next one now. And the way that came together too was Stephanie Worthley over at the high school contacted every single teacher and had them each submit a video explaining an award, giving the award to the kid. And we took that and edited it together and we put that together. The way that was presented would have never have been possible if it were for us to go out individually and try to film each person and do all that. So again, like the pandemic put us in a position where we could do different things and actually set it up differently. So yeah, that's crazy.
What about you? What was your favorite thing you did?
Man, adapting was really cool. Just seeing how people adapted to 2020 and really came together and created different things. But obviously, I think one of my proudest moments was definitely when you shaved my head.
One of mine as well.
2020 was interesting.
You're not going to explain that?
Well, I'm going to. That's what I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting at. I'm getting there. We're growing into it. So in 2020, it was one of the situations is every year I do what's called St. Baldrick's Day, where I raise money for children's cancer. And this year here, looking at it, I was like, there's no way we can get a bunch of people in the studio. We're not going to be able to get the event together. And I made the decision not to hold St. Baldrick's this year. And I just decided that was best for me, best for Medfield TV. And it just will catch you in 2021. And when I looked at St. Baldrick's, I just had thought like I should check in and see what they're doing. They had lost like $12 million or something like that in the year because everyone made the decision that I made was we'll just catch them in 2021. And we got really lucky that people did hold events and did try different things. And St. Baldrick's was able to make it through 2020. But that's when they called me and actually literally asked me, like, can you try something different? Can you try to do an event that's different than what we've been presenting? Because they've just been doing these group Zoom meetings and everyone just shaved their head at the same time and then the Zoom meeting would end and that was it. So we did this giant product that we interviewed different people. I got to talk to one of the board members of St. Baldrick's, which was so cool for me. I got to talk to one of their ambassadors who's a child with cancer. That was an awesome moment. To hear his story about how the medication that was used to heal him was literally funded by St. Baldrick's. And so he was someone, and they didn't even know about it. They didn't know about St. Baldrick's until after. And he literally got the medication that year. It was a brand new test that St. Baldrick's funded, and he was able to, he survived. He has no cancer left because of St. Baldrick's. To be able to do that, interview him, and then also host an event that raised over $10,000 was just incredible. I mean, we raised $10,000 for children's cancer in a pandemic. Like, I'm gonna put the feather in my cap. Like, that's pretty amazing. So, and the thing is, I didn't raise it, right? Like, I held an event. It's people who donated that raised that money. So thank you to everyone who donated. I think it's weird when people give me like, hey, great job. I didn't do it. I didn't put $10,000 in. Other people did. That was really cool. So thank you to everyone who donated. But I think all of us could agree that the highlight of 2020 was the holiday stroll.
Easily,
and that
yeah.
was
Yeah,
that was the
absolutely.
pinnacle for everybody. But I personally thought that, again, seeing my staff come together to hit like a stride and hit a moment was the holiday stroll for me. I didn't really do a whole lot that day. I got to sit back and I got to sit back with Gene in studio. I didn't do a lot for that video. I really can honestly say, like, I got to host the event. It's what I'm good at. I get to do that and sit back, and I got to watch in live time all the products that the staff put together, and it was so cool. Tell me about how you guys did it. Like, what'd you do?
Well, I guess it all started with Jean Minio, and she initiated contact with artists. She sent out an email to all of her artists, and then if they were interested, they contacted us. And then we contacted them back and set up an appointment to go visit them in their studios. And then myself or Amanda or both of us would go and film with them. And that started in August. We started filming interviews in August, and the event didn't happen until December. So it was a very long process. So we started editing also in August, and Amanda edited over half the videos, and I edited some of them also. But Amanda did such a great job. I put her through so much revisions. I'm so sorry. Like, I keep apologizing.
Every time I was like, okay, I did those edits. Nothing else she could say, and then the next, oh, I caught these actually, so time mark here, cut.
Yeah, you know, as chief editor, I take my job very seriously.
She lives up to her name.
I know, I sent her like 4 revisions for every artist, and I felt so bad because every time I'd like spot something new that I missed the first time, and I'd be like, oh, like maybe it would be better like this. And she was so gracious to accept all those edits.
Well, that's
I
the
felt
thing
so
with
bad.
editing, because you don't always catch things that someone else might catch.
Yes.
And then you might not catch it the first time you watch it or the second time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like little things because you're too busy focusing on something else. Like, oh, there was a problem there, so you're focusing on that problem, but you missed the part where there was an awkward like gasp or something that could have been cut out or something like that. So it's important to revise, and I had no problem making it look as great as it could be.
Yeah, especially since we had so long, I really wanted them to be as perfect as they could be and as good as we could make them be. And then just bringing those edits into an actual show. Like, obviously the edits were a big part of it, but it wasn't the only part of it. We had to do this whole live broadcast. So
I had to do it.
I scripted out what videos would play at what points, and Maddie also, we had music performances also, and Maddie, our assistant production coordinator, edited some of those. And I just like outlined it, knew what was gonna play when, and like gave Brett and Jean their moments to talk. And then we had the whole live tree lighting with Memo at Baxter Park. And that was beautiful. Amanda was on site with Mike Geegan. And I'll be honest, the whole live broadcast was very stressful. I was directing it, and it's very stressful.
One of the things that I talked about with Audrey, and this was one of the goals that we have for you, is that you're going to host a live event someday all by yourself. Mm-hmm. And because just going live alone, and a lot of people don't realize the difference between having a camera on and having a live camera on. It's very different. Like, mistakes can happen during an edit. Whereas live shows, just on a daily basis, just a live show is just different. It adds a different atmosphere. It's harder to do. Your timing has to be perfect. Like, you have to be on pace and on point at all times. And Amanda, what I heard was things weren't on pace. It was a little chaotic up there.
It was very chaotic. The tree lighting was a little delayed, so setup was very rushed. Not for me, I was sitting there for like 2 hours, and then it started to rain outside with the camera. So luckily I had umbrellas in my car, so I did grab an umbrella. But when it came to putting people on camera and like gathering the people who are going to turn on the lights, that was very rushed. And it was just organizing that while communicating with Audrey, who is also feeling that rush
yes,
as
it's
well.
Just like stress on stress
Yeah.
and more stress. And like I was in our control room, like operating everything, making sure videos were playing at the right time and making sure I was cutting to the live in studio at the right time. And then I was on the phone with Amanda, setting up the Zoom, making sure the Zoom was going at the right time, making sure Memo was in the right spot at the right time to cut to them. And you know, it happened.
Yeah.
It looked, I think for people watching, it looked seamless.
You would never know.
I know, there was
And
a lot of
that's-
panic, but they did a really nice job on camera,
They did,
setting
yeah.
up and like just saying what they need to say. It seemed effortless,
Yes.
but it wasn't. It was stress-inducing.
And big thank you to Noon Hill too for letting us in their office and throwing a cable out their top window. You know, we had a live stream going up there, which that was even misfiring. Like that wasn't working at first. And Gene is sitting there. We're going live. The event has started.
Yeah, we were like in the middle of the event. Like Brett, I was cut to a pre-made interview, so we were playing that, and I like opened the door. I was like, Brett, the camera's off. Talk to
Just
Mike.
like that. And so I look at Gene and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have to jump on a phone call real quick. And I talked Mike Geegan through fixing that. And Gene is just sitting there and she goes, I never knew that this is what it's like. And I'm like, yeah, this is what people don't see. And I'm literally on the phone with Mike and I go, okay, I gotta go, and hang up. And I'm like, and back to us here at the studio. And like, just right like that. And then I cut to Gene, she's talking, she brings up the next, you know, segment. And then I'm back on the phone with Mike to fix the live stream. And then once that got going again, I feel like knowing that that was going on, if you rewatched it, you can probably now tell that my speaking got better as the event went on, and I got more relaxed as the event went on. And that's partially, I do that as I noticed that myself, is like I get better as the event goes on, but also I think the live stream being broken was a big problem for me too.
Honestly, I wasn't in studio, so I didn't know what was going on in studio, but rewatching it, because I wasn't watching it live, I couldn't point out those moments. I won't lie, I did hear you talking to me on the phone in the control room in the distance for 1 second.
That's so great.
But it
Love
wasn't
that.
noticeable.
My debut.
I don't think anyone else would catch it. I just knew what was playing when that was happening.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
But other than that, like just rewatching it, it just seemed to flow really nicely. Like if I didn't know behind the scenes like what was actually going on, I would just think that it was just like a one and done deal. Everything was all organized and good, which it was very, very organized. It was just like, you know, things that you can't really account for that happens, and that just happens with like anything. So there's always something unpredictable that can happen during shoots. So I wouldn't have guessed like those moments
Good.
of stress.
I mean, next time we do that, I really want to just have a camera on me in the control room, because Maddie and Linnea, our assistant production coordinators, were sitting behind me for like half the broadcast, and then they left to like edit something else, and they came back right when I was freaking out on the phone with Amanda. And I just want to know like what they think of me after that, because they saw me in like peak stress, peak freaking out. And they're like, hey,
Hey, hi. Speaking of unpredictable, let's talk about Halloween for a second.
oh God.
Who saw that coming? Halloween, I will say this. Winter Lights doesn't happen without Halloween. So you needed that mess to happen first to have the beautiful success that was the Winter Lights.
Let me just say, mess is such a great way to describe it.
And when I tell you, we put on an event that brought in literally 6,000, I think 6,000 people came to Medfield, and we saw 1,200 cars. So what was it? We saw 1,200 cars, and there was another 1,200 cars definitely turned away, at least another 1,200 cars turned away, and I apologize. But with that, probably 3-4 people in each vehicle, blah, blah, blah.
Our event the previous year only got 80 people total
Yeah.
walking through. And we did that for like 4 hours one night.
Yeah.
And it was a one night thing, 80 people total.
Bonkers. So that happened, and that was chaos. We did that it was the three of us, Maddie and Linnea, Erica Cody at the library and 12 kids that were under the age of 17. Like that's what we did that with. So for us to ever expect that we were going to get 1,200 cars to drive through was crazy. Like we never expected that. But with that being said, we saw what we did. We saw that we had some problems and we fixed them. And for the winter lights, you could see that there was a massive improvement between those two events. It was a huge effort. Again, Gene Minio and Cam worked with us to put on another fantastic event. And it was really cool. But I think where I'm more proud of the holiday stroll because as a manager, that was what I got to see Medfield TV at its peak operating the way it's supposed to. Winter Lights was just like a brute effort to get that done. And that was something that was really cool. It was very stressful. And it was cool at the end to be able to sit back and watch people drive through. But like personally, I put in a lot of physical effort. I was dying by the end of that. But there was one moment that was like the coolest moment of all time. And so I'm sitting there. It's getting late. It's like 5, 6 o'clock at night. I am sitting in the chapel with myself, our board president, David Maxon, and Bill, one of our other board members. And I'm sitting at this table and they're screwing in light bulbs. We had to screw in every single one of those light bulbs. And we had a bunch of volunteers coming in to help us out. And we're sitting there and I have my head down and I am just like stressed out, like, what are we going to do about this event? And then all of a sudden I hear, "Are you Brett?" And I look up and there are like 6 kids in front of me and then there's 6 kids behind them. And I'm like, what? Yeah, what do you need? And they were literally like, "We're here to help." And it was St. Edward's sent over like 10 or 12 kids to come in, and it became like, it was like Santa's workshop. Literally, like all these little elves came in and they just started just going. And we just paired them up. They all had a little mask on and they were talking and turning and doing, and they screwed in like 5,000 light bulbs themselves. And it was insane. We couldn't have done it without that one little effort. And it was just like, it was this magical moment of me just watching these kids just going to town on all these Christmas lights. It was so cool. That was one of the coolest moments. So St. Edward's, if you were one of those kids, thanks so much for helping out. That was really cool.
I also think we should definitely say a huge thank you to the Cultural Alliance of Medfield. Gene Minio, Kira Wersig, both of them put in so much effort to this event and planning it and coordinating with businesses who set up their setups and stuff. So they were a huge part of this also.
I think I put in a lot of physical effort. They did all the coordinating and everything else. That event does not happen without them. They did so much. Gene, we laughed so hard about Eventbrite. That mess of like trying to figure out how to sell tickets and do all that, Gene handled all of it. And Gene was so phenomenal. She was the best. And then, of course, we got a snowstorm. Why not?
Both times, we should
both
say.
times. Yeah.
Halloween too.
And Winter Lights, yeah.
I'm telling you, I am 100%, if I host an event and it can be affected by snow, it will snow that day. I'm 100% on that.
And I 100% believe that.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
Doesn't matter.
You convinced me.
It's October, December, January, March. I have held events all through those time periods, and every single time it has snowed either the day before or the day of my event.
Yeah. Next year, we have to plan for space heaters.
Winter Lights in July. Snow then. All right. We had short time now. So because we have Kurt Jackson coming in to tell a story.
Yes.
And he's coming in about 5-10 minutes. So let's finish up with this. 2021, what are you looking most forward to?
Like I said, working on that animation project, like to do something fully animated and like think it out, and like it's a new way of thinking for me and planning. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm just looking forward to see what we have to offer for the community this year, because it was so much community work at the end of the year, and I know that's just going to keep coming. So I look forward to those projects as well.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm starting a new show called Empowered, and it's just about female empowerment, interviewing women in town, maybe beyond town, anyone involved in Medfield, on various subjects about womanhood. Yeah. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
This is one of the things I think is really cool about Empowered too, is there are so many powerful women that are in this town that we get to work with all the time. I mean, from school committee, their past 2 chairmen have been awesome. To have them, obviously Christine Terweiler, fantastic. Our police chief, like it's just nonstop of the women that you have that you're gonna sit down with and talk to. I'm just so excited about it. You know, it's Jean Miniow, like there's so many women that you had lined up that we want to sit down and talk to about this show. It's really exciting. I'm excited to see it too. So it's gonna be awesome.
I'm really excited to like hone in on deeper topics about being a woman in our world.
What's really cool too is I'm gonna have nothing to do with that show, obviously.
Yeah, he's a man. Yeah. A dumb man.
It's like full girl power here at Medfield TV. We have Audrey, Amanda, Linnea, Maddie. The 4 of them are gonna be doing the show. And so the whole show is gonna be done by women, for women. It's gonna be pretty cool. I'm excited.
Not just for women, for anyone.
For anybody.
Yeah. Everyone should watch.
It's true. I'm just excited to grow, to keep growing. I think 2020, like I said, was one of our best years. It forced us to be really it forced us to be very necessary. And I'm very excited about that, continuing that. Like you said, we started working with a lot of different community groups, and more community groups are already reaching out to us. So I'm really excited about that. So we're just growing, we're getting bigger. And I'm really excited about what Medfield TV is going to bring for 2021. It's going to be super exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm excited for this show. Because we're going to do it more frequently.
Yeah. You can find this on our listen page, medfield.tv/listen. Also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you want to listen. We're also filming this in video format. You can watch on our watch page, medfield.tv/watch, or on our YouTube channel, Medfield TV.
I've trained
or on our cable stations.
So well. Just being able to plug as much as you can.
Follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Medfield TV, Instagram and Twitter @Medfield TV.
One of the goals people don't know is Medfield TV is trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I will throw a giant 1,000 subscriber party. I can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So subscribe to us on YouTube.
Or I'll fight you.
All right.
Cool. Happy 2021, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's to getting bigger and better, doing cooler stuff.
Nice. Everyone smile for a thumbnail. Nice.
I probably looked scared.